the name of the Lord. Thank you, Jesus, for today. Yes, today is another great day with another great tutorial, and today we're going to be looking at Keycloak. Keycloak is an identity access and management, open source tool. Very helpful. Very good. It has a bit of a learning curve to it, but it's worth it when you put in that time. It's really worth it. So let's just go through a brief overview of everything, just something to get you started. Yeah, so now Keycloak has a couple of concepts. The main concepts that we'll look at today is what we call the RAM, the client, roles, users. Who look at who go in depth with the clients, because that's where most of the work actually happens. So now with the RAMs, when you first fire up your Keycloak after setting it up and now it's up and running, one of the first things you do is to create a RAM. A RAM is more of an organization kind of structure, just to structure things up. Like for example, this is set up on localhost. We have AskQRA, ifrace, and then we have the master RAM. The master RAM comes pre-built or pre-set up, so this we find we don't have to do anything. But this I created. We also have the UESW, Insurance Regulatory Authority RAM. So these are already created, but the RAM is very easy to create. When you come here and click on add RAM, just input the name. That's it. Very easy, and you have a RAM. So we will use a RAM that is already created to just save on time. So I've given it a name. RAMs have users, a RAM has users, so you need to tell the RAM that when we are creating users, what functionality, what should the login page for these users, how should it look like? The user should be able to, the master user should be able to do user registration. Basically just a bunch of on off switches here that you can toggle on or off to turn on or off certain features on your login page. And then a couple of these other things which we won't go through today. There's really nothing much except for these security defenses. You can turn on brute force detection just to enable that, so that if somebody, you see a couple parameters here that you can set up, so that when somebody tries to force their way into your system, this is activated. And then the headers, you can add headers here for your security defenses. Again, we won't go into this, but this is very important. Yeah, so within a RAM we have what we call clients. Clients are created within RAMs, so you can have one or more clients belonging to a RAM. Like I said before, a RAM is sort of an organizing structure to help us organize and put things together. Like I can have URA as a RAM, and then under URA I can have the different projects. I would call those probably all the different applications. I could call those maybe clients in this context. So in the Keycloak context, clients are not the users. It's basically sort of the application or whatever you want to call it. So let's not confuse clients and users. So with that said, let's run to clients. So remember, under a RAM, under this RAM we are going to create some clients. So you come to clients. When you click on new and you give it a client ID, for example, my client. This I prefer to use OpenID, but you can use some more if you want. All these are identity protocols. Yeah, I don't know if that's the right word, but they are protocols. Yeah, but I prefer to use OpenID, so I don't do anything to that. Then you save. When you save, you have your client created, and it's among these clients here. Like for example, I already created UESW -IRA as a client. so I won't create any other new client. It also creates for you a couple other new things like this account console, and a host others, but I won't look at those. Let's look at this, that's most important. So after you've created a client, you click on it. When you create a client to bring another page that has a, maybe let's create one so that you see what I'm talking about. Let's call this my client, save. So it brings you a page like this which has a couple of things, and depending on what you choose, there are other tabs that will display. Like for example, if I choose confidential, it brings more, it brings more fields down here. If I go back to public, it hides some of the fields. If I go to confidential and then turn on service accounts enabled, authorization enabled, so when I save, after inputting all the other details, to bring some other tabs here, but I'm not going to save this. I'll just go straight to what I already created, then show you some of the tabs that have been added. Like this authorization tab wasn't there, this installation wasn't there, this I don't know, maybe installation was there, but this service account rules wasn't there, and this authorization, which I'm sure about, wasn't there. And this is where most of our work is. But let's first look at the settings. So you have the client ID, you have the name, you have the description, you have to enable it, have it enabled. Consent required. I think you guys, I think we've all seen, when you're trying to log into an application and it's asking you to use your Facebook login or your Gmail account login, you have to provide consent. So this provides a similar behavior. If you want users to log into a different application using a different application authentication system, then you can ask the users provide consent, and the user has to give consent before they are granted access to whatever application they want to log in using a different authentication application. So we won't do that since we are dealing with APIs here. No users really are going to be logging in for now. So we have the client protocol, which is OpenID. You have the access type. We'll keep it confidential. Yeah, this can stay the way it is. It's direct access grant enabled. It has to be on. Service accounts enabled. You have to keep this switch on. Then authorization enabled. Keep that switch on. So on a root URL, you have to put in your root URL here, whatever the base of your authentication application. I've seen some instances where on valid redirect URLs they do not add the base URL because it's already put up here, so they will just add something like that. So this means that the URL starts from here and finishes up here for the valid redirect URL. But I did this because it was working for me. Then admin URL web origins. Yeah. Won't go into that. Then we won't go into the details since it's not our focus today. So after that, this when you create a client, there's a secret that is generated for you. You can regenerate this secret. This secret is very important, especially if you're working with APIs, because you have to use this in your APIs. I'll show you that later. Let me show it to you now. I have an application here. Quickly as it loads up. Yes, it has loaded up. In our Keycloak file, close. Our Keycloak file is under the infrastructure resources. This file which has opened up, it has credentials, secret. So this secret is the same as this secret that is here. So it enables this application to be able to send requests to this URL, which is the Keycloak authentication URL, so that we authorize or we grant access or deny access to whoever is trying to access our services on our application, this application. Yes, with that out of the way, you can regenerate in case you feel like the other has been compromised and you need a new one. So we come to roles. Um, these are roles that belong to the client. I haven't added any roles. Some of the roles, we'll look at the role section when we get there. Client scopes, not so important for now. This we won't look at, that we won't look at now. Authorization. Now, here, please pay attention. We really need some time here. But before I go to authorization, maybe let me get these ones out of the way so that we tackle authorization last. So let's skip to revocation. We won't look at that now. We won't look at sessions now. Offline access, we won't look at that now. Clustering, we won't look at that now. Installation, let's just run through authentication. Remember the JSON I showed you, this that is within my application, my API application here. It comes from here. If I select this, it generates for me that beautiful JSON. That's the same JSON I use the other side. If you're using other protocols or subsystems, you can use XML. If you have a subsystem installed in your, for example, Wildfly, you can use this, or any other formats, whichever. If you're using, I think, yeah, anyway, let's not go into details of that. So showed you this service accounts. Now, again, these are roles. We'll look at roles because these are roles that are added to this service account so that they are available, for assignment. Anyway, let's look at the authorization. This is where the gist of the matter is. Yeah, so under authorization, we have a couple of things there. The number of tabs: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 tabs, under authorization. Now, okay, I think we should do this in the next tutorial. Thank you.